Come on.
Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
All right. We're traveling overseas, heading over to London for the Sunday morning game. The 2-2 New York Jets will play as the road team against the 4-0 undefeated Minnesota Vikings. Led by Sam Darnold.
You sounded too gleeful in that. The 4-0 Minnesota Vikings.
Led by Sam Darnold. Okay. So the total is projected out to be 40.5 points. The Vikings are 2.5-point favorites. That means Vegas is telling us that the Jets will score 19. The Vikings will score 21.5. Mike Steph, what do you think about this game?
Oh, wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, I'm sorry. I forgot the injury note. There's only one injury note of importance, but it's a pretty big one. Aaron Rodgers is listed as questionable, but Mike Steph, I think you said that you heard some insider information.
Yeah. I was in attendance this past Sunday, home game against the Broncos for the Jets, and he did get hurt on the second to last drive when he got sacked and he limped off the field. And they actually had Tyrod Taylor warming up on the sideline just in the eventuality that they would get the ball back. When they got the ball back, of course, Aaron Rodgers came back on that field. So he did say at the post-game press conference that he was banged up. I read somewhere that it might be the hamstring, it might be the knee. They didn't specify, but yeah, that's probably why he's listed as questionable.
Thank you, correspondent. All right, who do you have for this game? You like the Jets, like the Vikings? Sam Darnold.
Well, Sam Darnold. Okay, the Vikings are 4-0, and all their victories, starting with the victory against the Giants, everybody was like, well, it's just the Giants. Then they beat the 49ers. Oh, well, the 49ers, they're coming off a short week. They got a little injury. They don't have CMC. Then they spanked the Texans, like outright spanked the Texans. No excuses. And then this last week, they was up 28-0 in Green Bay against the Packers until they held off a furious comeback to win 31-29. Sam Darnold is leading the NFL in touchdown passes with 11. I think he has 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Everybody's saying this is a reclamation project. Everybody's saying that, well, Sam Darnold was never that bad. It was just the Jets, which I find very, very, offensive, but somewhat true. What's going on with the Vikings is a combination of good coaching, great coaching, I would say, Justin Jefferson, and a defense that up until last week was stifling. But I can't even say that's an outlier because, yeah, they gave up 400 yards in total offense, but a lot of those yards were in quote unquote garbage time. When you're up 28-0, you're going to take your foot off the pedal. Yeah, they made it close, but the game was never really in doubt. Now, to go over to my beloved New York Jets, the New York Jets are 2-2, coming off a 10-9 loss against the Bo Nix-led Denver Broncos. Do you know what kind of team you have to be that come off a 10-day break, hold the opposing quarterback to -7 yards passing in the first half? And it's not like just a sack. No, he was, I think the stat was 7 of 15 for -7 yards in the first half, and yet we was only up 6-0. There are problems going on the Jets, especially on the sideline and on the offensive side. I want to say our cornerstones, Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, have they been reading the press clippings a little bit too much? Because right now, his number one option on offense is Allen Lazard, who coincidentally was with him in Green Bay, who coincidentally knows all the ins and outs of the quirks of Aaron Rodgers. Garrett Wilson, for all his talent, for some reason, he's not disciplined enough. Right now, Aaron Rodgers is not confident in throwing him that 50-50 ball because he's not confident that he's going to be exactly where he's supposed to be. Now, it would not surprise me until, like, toward the end, right before the trading deadline, depending on how the Raiders are, if he really don't make a push to say, yo, get my man Devontae. I mean, because it could very easily be one of those seasons. And right now at 2-2, it's looking like one of those seasons. But since I got my Jet talk off, I'm going to actually give my prediction. Minnesota favored by 2.5. Over under is 40.5. Minnesota will cover. The over under, I'm going to go over because I don't have confidence, and I can't believe I said this, but I don't have confidence that the Jets are going to be able to match firepower with this current Minnesota offense. So I'll go Minnesota minus 2.5, and I'll take the over.
Yes, Sam Darnold is unstoppable. All right. In all seriousness, the Vikings have been killing people, but now they're going against the Jets defense. And this kind of reminds me a little bit of what the Saints were doing earlier in the season. When first 2 games, they were just crushing teams, and they were coming out the block crushing teams, and then they would kind of coast. And then once they got into a battle, the formula kind of changed. With the Vikings, they have not been trailing at all. They have been just coming out the woodwork in the first quarter, whooping and then taking names and then coasting the victory pretty much after that. Obviously, Green Bay came back a little bit, but it was basically over. What happens if the Jets stop them in the first quarter? I think this ends up being a pretty close battle. With that said, I think even if it's a close battle, at this point, I still have to go with the Vikings. So I'm going to go with the Vikings with the 2.5 points. That over-under is a little bit more interesting to me because, like I said, if the Jets start out battling, I think that this may be a really low-scoring game. But because the Vikings have been explosive, and I'm going to excuse the Jets this past week, blame it on the rain. I'm going with the over. Exactly what I was thinking. Exactly what I was thinking when I said it. I'll go with the over on the over-under, and I'll go with the Vikings with the 2.5. But I do think that if the Jets keep it close at the beginning, this might be a real interesting game. I am the number 1 Jets fan here.
Listen, I'm hoping that reverse psychology will work and say that the Jets are going to lose and they actually pull up the upset. Something like this team that I have on my chest right now. LGM. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Yeah. You see that, Jetty? Love you. But shoot, gotta do what I gotta do.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
Baby, don't start. Whatever you do, don't put the blame on you. Blame it on the rain. Yeah. See, you got that song in my head. Oh my goodness. Expect a voice memo with that song in the background.